Okay, I think we'll get started. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias a todos. Welcome to Energy Trust of Oregon's Working Together grants. I want to mention that we will have live Spanish interpretation during this presentation. And in a bit, I will show you how to access that feature. Hola y bienvenidos a la presentación de Energy Trust de Oregon para las becas de trabajar juntos. Quiero mencionar que tenemos interpretación en español y en vivo durante esta presentación y en un momento te enseñaré cómo acceder a esa función. Joining us today is our talented interpreter, Jessica Dover from Alma Luna Language Services. Bienvenida, Jessica. Okay, so we'll get started. First, you will find the little globe at the bottom of your screen, and you would select your language to listen to the presentation and participate in our questions and answers at the end of this presentation. If you're joining us from your mobile device, please find the three little dots at the bottom of your screen and select your language. Bienvenidos a todos para escuchar la presentación en español y participar en las preguntas y respuestas. Por favor de elegir su idioma debajo de la pantalla haciendo clic en el globito para sus opciones de interpretación. Si nos acompaña a través de su móvil, busque los tres pequeños puntos en la parte inferior de su pantalla y seleccione su idioma. So everyone does need to select the preferred language. So todos deben de seleccionar su idioma preferido. Gracias. All right, we'll get started. I am on the English side, so if you can hear me, it's great. Si me están escuchando en español, si me están escuchando en esta línea, quiere decir que necesita de estar en la línea que es en español. So in order to reach our goals, we rely on our community engagement opportunities. Like this event here on this side, we had the pleasure of hosting one of our small business community events through the Filipino American Chamber. At its core, community engagement is about relationships. Today's topic is about our small grant offers for nonprofits, the Working Together grants. The Working Together grants are an opportunity with two levels of funding. For level one, the grants are up to $5,000 and level two grants up to $10,000 for nonprofit organizations that are interested in pursuing the activities that help diverse communities and communities save energy or use clean, renewable energy. My name is Emma Clark, and I'm also joined by my wonderful colleague, Mia Deonate. This image here is a picture of Energy Trust with one of our first awardees, the Filipino American Chamber, at the community workshops to help inform their community about Energy Trust offers and incentives. A little bit about Energy Trust. We're an independent nonprofit organization dedicated to serving over 2 million customers of PGE, Pacific Power, Northwest Natural, Cascade Natural Gas, and Avista. We also serve Northwest Natural customers in the Southwest Washington. As an organization, we're committed to providing energy efficiency programs to make energy more affordable for customers like you. We have programs for every type of sector and customer, including residential, commercial, industrial, and agriculture. And we provide services to participating customers to save money on energy bills, support local businesses, and help strengthen our economy. We have an office in our Portland, in the Portland area, and staff representatives throughout the state covering all of our service area. And this map here represents the communities we serve throughout the state of Oregon and Southwest Washington. To be eligible for Energy Trust resources, and this great opportunity, as mentioned earlier, recipients of the grant funds must be customers of Portland General Electric, Pacific Power, Northwest Natural, Cascade Natural Gas, Ora Vista in Oregon, or customers of Northwest Natural in Southwest Washington. In other words, if you are a customer of these utilities, you're a customer because you help fund programs and services. In today's agenda, Mia and I will provide information about our Working Together grant opportunity for nonprofit organizations, including eligibility information, application details, and timelines. We hope in this presentation you will be inspired by this opportunity and come to know if this is the right fit for you. We will open the floor for additional questions and answers at the end of the presentation. In the meantime, please feel free to add any questions to the chat box, and my colleague Ashley and Amanda will be happy to address them during our Q&A. I'd like to pause here for a few seconds to allow our interpreter a break. We appreciate you, Jessica. Thank you. The Working Together grant funds are intended to help nonprofit organizations expand their services, information, and expertise to meet your organization's goals, while also helping to reach diverse communities, access and participate in Energy Trust offers and services. The qualifying organizations must serve communities of color, customers with low or moderate incomes, or rural communities, and wish to collaborate with Energy Trust to assist your clients, customers, and communities in learning about or taking action to save energy or benefit from the renewable energy options. The important part is that the activity achieves a mutual objective. These are competitive grants for nonprofits. The proposed activities can be any amount up to $5,000 or up to $10,000. We have funding of $80,000 for this round as a statewide opportunity. Next, Mia will explain if your organization qualifies, more details on the grant and timeline for the grant. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mia Janate. I'm just going to ask a quick ask for you. If you could put your name and what organization you're attending, if you're with, that would be great in the chat. I just want to be able to know that. And we know that your time is valuable. So before jumping to the application process, I wanted to review the eligibility requirements and other important details to ensure you understand the grant purposes and expectation. Love to see that in the chat. So on to eligibility requirements. First, to be eligible, your organization must be designated by the federal government as a nonprofit entity, be registered and certified in Oregon or Washington state as a nonprofit organization. organizations or groups may apply with a fiscal sponsor, which is a qualified nonprofit organization that provides organizational infrastructure and administrative support for managing a grant. Second, activities must benefit customers within the Energy Trust service area. Third, proposed activities must align with Energy Trust objectives for serving communities of color, customers with low or moderate incomes, and rural communities. And fourth, an organization's proposed activities must align with the grant purpose to support activities that meet applicant goals while also helping diverse communities access and participate in Energy Trust offers and services. In addition to that, organizations can apply for only one grant level per funding cycle. So that means if you're applying for level 1, you cannot apply for level 2 as well. So make sure you're picking which level feels right for you and only applying for that one for this round. Some organizations on this webinar may be already working with Energy Trust in varying capacities. For those organizations, please make sure your application is not duplicating scope of work of your other work with us. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us. As a reminder, grant funds cannot be used for the purchase or installation of home repairs, energy efficiency, or renewable energy equipment, to fund projects covered through Energy Trust existing programs, services, and incentives, to encourage changing existing fuel sources, or for direct lobbying or political activities. And if you have any further questions about these, please let us know and we can help answer that. And then in addition to these grant funds, Energy Trust has a wide range of programs and services for residential and business customers. These grant funds are not intended to duplicate our existing offerings, including incentives we provide for energy efficiency or renewable energy equipment or systems. If you have any questions about what can be funded through this grant, please add your questions to the chat and email workingtogethergrants@energytrust.org. If this grant opportunity doesn't seem like the right fit for you, there is varying ways to work with Energy Trust. So just know that it's not limited to this grant and we can figure out a way to work together. Now I'll review the application process. So applications are available online on our website. And so again, like I mentioned earlier, please double check to make sure you're applying to the correct application, as there are 2 levels. Applications must be submitted via email and must include a copy of your organization's W-9 and IRS determination letter. If you don't include these, your application will be considered incomplete. So please make sure to have those in your email. And you can visit our website, the Working Together Grants. The link is up above, and we'll be providing links to anything we mentioned throughout this presentation at the end. So please go to our website where you can find our service area map, our frequently asked questions, and other information that may help you prepare for your application. So we have had 2 previous rounds of these grants, and after these 2 rounds of funding, we heard from nonprofits that they have immediate needs that could benefit from a smaller grant fund. We listened to this feedback and created the smaller grant opportunity to address this immediate need. Level 1 funding is available to help organizations conduct outreach, explore Energy Trust offers, and build its capacity through grant writing and training. Funding can support activities related to energy efficiency, clean energy, and renewable energy for priority customers and Energy Trust service area. This funding is meant to fund a smaller dollar amount need than our other level. Costs must be itemized, and grants can be requested for any amount up to $5,000. This doesn't mean that you have to request the full $5,000. If you have a training or another organizational need that's lower than that, please do apply for that need. At that amount, we want to make sure that we're meeting you where you're at, and that it makes sense for that cost. Allowable grant activities costs include printing or designing of materials, translation and interpretation services, meeting facilitation, event costs, and staff time for trainings, workshops, education, and conferences, time to meet with Energy Trust to understand options and funding sources for working together, grant writer costs for grants that, if funded, would complement Energy Trust programs and services, and staff training and energy technology or equipment that is supported by Energy Trust incentives. And if you have any questions about that, we can touch them or answer them at the end of the presentation, but please feel free to put them in the chat so you don't forget them. And so our selection process for level 1 is that we will be pre-screening applications to ensure proposed activities and costs align with the grant purpose. Funding will be awarded in tiers based on alignment with the following categories: how the organization reflects and serves grant priority customers, such as communities of color, customers with low or moderate incomes, and rural customers. If the organization is located outside of the city of Portland and does not have access to the Portland Clean Energy mini grant, we want to make sure that this is complementing that or adding to those who may not be able to have this opportunity and are outside of the city of Portland. Whether the organization has applied to a Working Together grant previously, with a preference given to first-time applicants, and organizational size, with preference given to smaller organizations. Funding will be awarded starting with those who most align with all of these categories, and more details on our selection can be found on our application on our website. And if you have any more questions, please let us know in the chat box and we can answer them later. On to level 2, which are a higher level of funding that can support program or project activities related to energy efficiency, clean energy, renewable energy for priority customers. Allowable grant activities costs include costs that supplement an existing program or program in development that would result in customer participation in Energy Trust energy efficiency and renewable energy offers. These costs can be in the categories of buying goods and services, staff, intern, or contractor time, costs for training, workshops for education. Some past examples include staff time for implementing programs, costs for supporting or hosting a youth summer camp, contractor education, and outreach costs. And the selection process for level 2 will be, we will be pre-screening internally to ensure the proposed activities and costs align with the grant purpose, like in level 1, and all eligible applications will be advancing through pre-screening that will be scored by a diverse panel of reviewers. Applications will be scored in 2 groups: organizations located in the Portland metro area and organizations located outside the Portland metro area, to ensure that grants are awarded to applicants from across Energy Trust service area. We anticipate that we will be receiving more requests for funding than we have funds for. So priority will be given to applications that align directly with grant objectives, demonstrate ability to manage and implement planned activities with grant funds, have highest community and organizational impact, deliver greatest benefit to Energy Trust customers, and diversity, equity, and inclusion priority customers. And our current round priorities are organizations that have an even distribution across our service area, and those that were not awarded previously. And I see a question in the chat. Yes, so our current idea is that we will be splitting funds 40,000 for level 1 and 40,000 for level 2. And now, before I move on to the key dates, I wanted to review the characteristics of awarded applications and what has made them successful. So a successful application makes the impact on DEI targeted audiences very clear. The degree of impact resulted in higher score. Information on leadership at an organization and lived experience lived and professional experience working with DEI targeted audiences was highlighted. Those who outlined connection between leadership and customers to be served received higher scores. Staff and experience or capability to execute on activities and small grants were provided. Even if it was a new organization, it was helpful to hear about systems and staff in place. The application demonstrated deep understanding of the audiences to be served, and that was reflected. Funding through the grant allowed the organization to do work in a way that they would not have been able to otherwise, even if it was in small ways. And the grant activity delivered benefit to Energy Trust customers and created pathways to our offers and services in the short or long term. Now I'll go over some key dates. Next slide. So the grant application launched August 14th. And you are here today at the informational webinar. We will be uploading recordings from this webinar in English and Spanish for those who were not able to attend. So if you have anybody in your organization who was not able to make it, you could share it with them. And you can email us to schedule office hours. So if you have any questions or want to discuss this opportunity in more detail, you can email us and we can get a meeting scheduled. Our grant application deadline is September 8th at 5 p.m. So please make sure you're emailing your application materials in before then, because things sometimes go wrong, and so you want to make sure you have time before that. Grant selection will be announced on October 2023, and grant awardees will be notified once decisions are made. Individual agreements will be drafted by Energy Trust legal staff. A public announcement and media relations are part of this step as well. Estimated grant payment is in November 2023, and then you must submit a final report and wrap up your grant activities by October 1st, 2024. So that gives you roughly about a year to complete grant activities. And like I mentioned earlier, you can email us here at workingtogethergrants@energytrust.org for any questions or to schedule office hour. A frequently asked questions page is available on our website and will be updated as questions are received. So keep an eye out for any updates made on that web page. Next. And we will provide, like I mentioned earlier, a copy of these links and presentation to everyone who attended, so you're able to click through and interact with it. And for applicants and any nonprofit organizations seeking to work with us, we can provide copies of existing collateral to help you share information about our programs and services with your community. So if that is a need of yours, please let us know and we're able to provide that. And next, thank you all so much for sitting through and learning more about this opportunity. Now I'm going to open up for questions and answers. So if you have a question, please put it in the chat box or raise your hand, and Ashley, my colleague Ashley, will be calling on folks. Thank you so much.
Amy, go ahead.
Yeah, I was listening in today because I had an idea for a project for Woodburn, similar to one that I worked with ETO on years ago for Clackamas County. And that was an energy efficiency on Main Street concept. So working with our businesses in our Main Street district and doing energy assessments, and then using ETO dollars to help them make energy efficient improvements to their buildings, whether it be windows, insulation, equipment upgrades, lighting, you know, whatever the assessment was to reflect. Would this program be a good fit to kick off something like that?
I could jump in there. I think that's very much aligned with the intention of these funds. The one thing I would say, and why I might suggest that we have a follow-up conversation through office hours, is we have been working pretty closely with the community of Woodburn and done several presentations to small businesses there and have some activity underway in the community. So I think it would be good to have a conversation to sort of talk about what's underway and what could still be supplemented through additional community-based organization support.
Yeah, I knew that there had been some work here, and we've been working through PGE and ETO on doing lighting presentations. One of the challenges we've been coming up against with our businesses is they're reluctant to commit or move things forward due to limited funding, limited understanding. So we've been trying to do more with them. And I think a couple of you have even talked to Maricela and worked with some of our community leadership. The city serves as the Main Street Program Coordinator and Downtown Revitalization, and we have funding that we put into businesses. So we thought a program like this would be nice to couple with our urban renewal program, where we provide incentivification or improvements. But a couple of them have been asking about equipment upgrades or cooler upgrades, because a lot of them are old, and that's something that our program can't do, but it could be something that could fit with your energy trust programming. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So Sue, would I follow up with you, or
send an email, or Mia will reach out to you directly to set up office hours. But yeah, I think making sure that we're getting the word out to all small businesses about opportunities for upgrades is very important to us. So
so Mia, you'll contact me.
Yeah, could you just drop your email in the chat for me, and I'll make note to contact you to schedule some time.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie.
Guillermo, do you have a question?
Hello, yes. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so thank you guys for this informational session and allowing time to soak in this information. My question had to do with eligibility. So when it comes to nonprofit status, I did look at the application, the download, the file that you're able to download, and I know that it kind of gives you two options, either to label yourself as a nonprofit entity or to apply with a physical sponsor. So my question is, when it comes to that nonprofit status, is it, you mentioned federally designated, so I'm assuming then, is it strictly restricted to 501c3 designated nonprofits, or is there also accessibility for other sort of like categories, such as for example, benefit companies or domestic nonprofits? That was just my question that I had. Thank you. And sorry if this has maybe been answered in a previous working together session.
We do have it as eligibility being a federally designated 501c3. I think we should take your question away, though, and make sure that we just check with our legal department to understand those two classifications that you're describing, and we could share that answer out to everybody. But at this point, I think everybody who has applied in our current eligibility has been 501c3 organizations or organizations who don't have their status yet and have applied with a fiscal sponsor who is a 501c3. So we'll just clarify and make sure that we provide that FAQ back to everybody who participated today and post it on our website. Ashley or Mia, did you get those two designations that were referenced so we can check on those?
I did not specifically get those. Guillermo, do you mind just dropping those in the chat and we can get back to you soon?
Yeah, definitely. And I can also post the link for the Secretary of State website on information for benefit companies, as well as the other entity referenced. Yeah, thank you guys. I understand the limitations to answer that question.
Thank you. And Jamie, did you have a follow-up to that? I saw you asked how to raise your hand, but feel free to just speak up if you want to have a question.
Okay, thank you. I also had a question on eligibility. Sorry, I've got the phone ringing in the back. So we are a Native American Indian reservation, so we are federally recognized, but also we do not have an IRS 50C3 designation. Initially, when I talked to the Energy Trust folks in our area, they thought we would qualify. Is that still the case?
I think it would be the same answer that we should check on that. Both of these cases haven't come up in our previous 2 rounds, so we haven't followed up to see sort of how broad that eligibility requirement is around 501c3 and whether these cases fit within that designation. So I think we should take that same question and just make sure that we clarify that for everybody.
Okay, so we're a Native American Housing Authority.
Okay.
The Warm Springs Reservation.
Great, thank you.
These are all really good questions. Yeah, do let us know if there are any other questions. If there are questions in Spanish as well, you can just unmute yourself, and this is a time you can just ask a question. You don't need to raise your hand. And I think Julie has a question. Thank you, Julie.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just curious about what is included, or is there a format for your final report that would be due a year later? Like, what are you looking for us to track?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So we're really looking at, who you're engaging with, what's coming out of these engagements, both to your organization or to your customers, and how the grant is impacting your organization. Trying to think of anything else.
So demographics, numbers, and how many veins of the Energy Trust organization or incentives are being utilized, things like that.
Exactly.
No need for a carbon count.
No.
Just the who, what, where, when. Okay, that's nice to hear.
And then we do have some questions that just ask you whether, in some cases you're directly engaging communities or customers who may immediately want to participate in our programs and services. And sometimes we understand that may happen over time. So we do have some questions that just ask you, do you think based on this engagement, customers would be more likely to participate in Energy Trust programs and services? And then we ask some general follow-up questions to know whether there's any ways we can improve this grant for future rounds. It's a pretty streamlined report. We're really just trying to understand that impact of the dollars in all the ways you just described.
Okay, thank you.
And just to add a little bit to that, it's a pretty short report, and we've make sure that we're only asking relevant information, so don't want to make it too complicated. And we've heard great feedback in the past that it is very an easy report to complete.
And I would just add that we've worked really hard to make sure that the application itself is a easy process, and it's and we're not asking any more than we need. So for folks that where this grant may be the first grant application, you know, we have a lot of support for you, and we encourage you to go ahead and apply and reach out to us for any question that you may have, either Mia, myself, any of us. And yeah, and the FAQ on our website will be updated as more questions come up. But I would say that we wouldn't want to take any more of your time. It sounds like we did an okay job, and so there aren't that many questions. But thank you so much for your time and for your consideration to working with us. We have lots of other opportunities as well that are outside of the Working Together grant. And so please feel free to reach out to any of us, and thank you so much for your time and all your wonderful questions.
Yes, there will be access to the recording. So we'll send out yeah, thank you, Amanda.
All right, and with this, I think we're gonna close. Stay warm or cool today. It's a crazy day in Oregon. But thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Jessica, and thank you to our team here, Amanda and Mia and Ashley and Sue. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation and wonderful collaboration. Adios. Thank you.